very good evening and welcome to the news at 6. Glad you could join us this Saturday evening. Here are the headlines. Union Cabinet to be reshuffled. Swearing-in ceremony of the new ministers to take place before Prime Minister Modi leaves for BRICS summit to China tomorrow. The Prime Minister will arrive in Chinese city of Xiamen on Sunday for BRICS summit. Restricted dialogue with leaders including Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin is part of his agenda. A terrorist is killed in an encounter with security forces in Kulgam in Jammu and Kashmir. Encounter comes a day after terrorists killed a policeman on the Srinagar-Jammu National Highway. And US President Donald Trump nominates economic expert Kenneth Juster as the next American ambassador to India. Kenneth will replace Richard Verma to the post if his nomination is confirmed by the Senate. The top story this evening, Kalraj Mishra, Union Minister of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, confirmed that he submitted his resignation from the cabinet ahead of the reshuffle scheduled for Sunday. Besides Mishra, Union Ministers Bandaru Dattatreya, Rajiv Pratap Rudy, Sanjeev Kumar Balyan, Phaggan Singh Kulaste and Mahendra Nath Pandey had resigned on Friday.
हम कार्यकर्ताओं के हैं, कार्यकर्ता हमारा है। कलराज मिश्रा ही केवल बने रहे, ये हमने कभी किया नहीं। आप मेरे बारे में निर्णय ले सकते हैं। और इसलिए जब ये रिशफल की बात आई थी, तो राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष जी ने मुझे बुलाया था और बहुत संकोच से कहा था, कलराज जी क्या करें? मैंने बताइए हम बिल्कुल तैयार हैं, कई बार प्रधानमंत्री से मिल लीजिए। मैं प्रधानमंत्री से मिला, मैंने कहा कि मैं उस पर तत्पर हूं। तो प्रधानमंत्री जी ने बड़े आत्मीयतापूर्ण ढंग से और भावुक होकर उन्होंने कहा, कलराज जी, फिर वही शब्द प्रयोग किया था उन्होंने, कहा ठीक है। और मैंने त्यागपत्र दिया, बल्कि उसी समय लिख के दे रहा था क्या हम 2 तारीख को स्वीकार करेंगे। मैंने कहा तब ठीक है, तब टाइप अप करके देंगे।
In other news, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will raise the issue of Pakistan-sponsored terrorism in the BRICS summit that will be held in Xiamen next week. He is also expected to raise the problems of cooperation among developing countries. The Prime Minister will be in China between the 3rd and 5th of September, after which he will proceed for Myanmar.
When Prime Minister Narendra Modi visits Chinese city of Xiamen on Sunday, he will have on his agenda a restricted dialogue with BRICS leaders, including Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin.
During this session, we'll focus on global economic situation and international economic governance, national security and development, and international and regional issues. This will be followed by a BRICS plenary session, where the leaders will discuss the practical cooperation for common development, people-to-people exchanges, and cultural cooperation and institutional building.
The Prime Minister will also take part in the BRICS Business Council meeting, where a report will be presented on the growth of business. Modi will also take part in the plenary session and signing of 3 MOUs on common development and future cooperation.
Documents for the BRICS summit will be signed. It is expected that there will be at least 4 such documents. BRICS Action Agenda on Economic and Trade Development is the first one. BRICS Action Agenda on Innovative Cooperation is the second one. Third is Strategic Framework of BRICS Custom Cooperation. And the 4th document will be MOU between BRICS Business Council and New Development Bank. In the evening of the 4th, the BRICS leader will be joined by the leaders of the 5 guest countries and their spouses for a welcome ceremony and a banquet.
The last day of the summit will be devoted to meetings of the BRICS leaders with representatives of the 5 guest nations. There will, however, be no expansion in the membership of BRICS, a proposal of China that India had opposed.
The next day, which is the 5th September, there is a BRICS Emerging Markets and Developing Countries Dialogue. This is an opportunity for the BRICS member countries to exchange views with the developing world and to build broader partnership for development. In the afternoon of the 5th, Prime Minister will depart for the second leg of his tour to Myanmar.
The BRICS summit is taking place at a time when India and China have managed to avert a conflict over the border issue in Doklam. India has also boycotted a Chinese road project that passes through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. All eyes will be on how the world's fastest-growing economies will handle the issues.
The success of this BRICS summit will depend on attitude of China. The initial indications also show that China understands the sensitivity of India, and that is why it wants business and it did not call Pakistan as a guest. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Television with camera person Kawaljit in Delhi.
In other news, massive protests erupted in Chennai today, a day after a 17-year-old medical aspirant committed suicide. The Dalit student petitioned the Supreme Court against its order to Tamil Nadu to follow the National Eligibility and Entrance Test on NEET for admissions to medical courses. She took the extreme step after she failed to get admission into a medical college.
Hundreds of protesters staged rallies and blocked roads in Chennai on Saturday, demanding justice for S. Anita, the 17-year-old Dalit student who had gone to the Supreme Court against the common entrance exam for medical colleges. Anita committed suicide on Friday, allegedly after she did not get admission into a medical college. Workers from different opposition groups demonstrated at different locations in the city, blaming the centre as well as the state government for their failure in getting an exemption from NEET.
Anita, who +2 student who scored 196 cutoff in state board examination, who cannot enter into medical entrance. He is a medical aspirant. Her 12 years old dream is now gone. She is suicided. So we are condemning the death. We are asking central and state government who are imposing NEET this year to our students is responsible for this suicide. And we are asking complete exemption for NEET in imposing Tamil Nadu do not want NEET in medical entrances.
The CPIM and its student affiliates SFI and DYFI staged a road blockade, after which they were detained by the police. Leaders cutting across party lines expressed grief over the incident.
NEET एग्जाम में जो मेरिट में आती है उनको एडमिशन मिलता है। जिस तरह एक दलित समाज की लड़की थी और शेड्यूल कास्ट में भी मेरिट होता है, तो जो जितनी सीटें हमारी होती उतनी सीटें भरी जाती है। तो ये तो दुख की बात है कि भाई उन्होंने सुसाइड किया है, लेकिन आगे उसके संबंध में क्या कर सकते हैं इसके बारे में गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया विचार करेगी। लेकिन जहां तक मेरिट का सवाल है, तो मेरिट के सवाल के माध्यम से अगर कोई एक आधा मार्क भी कम होता है तो मतलब एडमिशन मिलता नहीं है। तो मुझे लगता है मैं स्टूडेंट को मैं आह्वान करता हूं कि आप नियम को फॉलो करना चाहिए। जिस तरह सुप्रीम कोर्ट में भी वो चले गए, लेकिन सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने नीट एग्जाम की जो पद्धति है उस पद्धति के मुताबिक ही मतलब एडमिशन होता है, इसलिए उसकी जो अपील था वो खारिज कर दिया था। तो ये तो दुख की बात है कि भाई वो लड़के ने आत्महत्या की, सुसाइड किया है। लेकिन जरूर अगर ऐसा होता है तो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया जरूर इसके बारे में विचार करेगी और उसमें क्या बदल कर सकते हैं क्या।
This is really a result of the entirely callous approach of the central government. And as far as the AIDMK government in Tamil Nadu is concerned, they have been making so many promises which have proved to be false. And the BJP government has no sensitivity. What did they do with the Rohit Vemula case? Completely insensitive to the realities that Dalit students and universities face. And this is in a different context, but it is the same approach of utter insensitivity which has caused this girl's suicide.
If you take the +2 cutoff mark, you cannot try for the second time. But in the NEET, you can appear for 3 times. So, for Miss Anita, the options and opportunities are wide open. She could have prepared for the next year examination and got medical admission also. But I don't know which made her to take to this course, because immediately after the Supreme Court's verdict on NEET issue, she has told publicly that she would join agree and work for the welfare of farmers. Then how could such a girl commit suicide? Is there any sabotage behind it?
Some others took to Twitter to pay condolences to the family. Anita's father also questioned the injustice being meted out to medical aspirants in Tamil Nadu.
இந்தியா இந்த மாதிரி இருக்கும்னு நான் நினைக்கல. தமிழ்நாட்டுக்காரன் உட்கார்ந்துருக்கான், வெளிநாட்டுக்காரன் தமிழ்நாட்டில் படிக்கிறான். இது நியாயமான கோரிக்கையா கிடையாது இல்லையா? இங்க இருக்க தமிழகத்தில் இருக்கிறவங்க பார்த்து பேசக்கூடாதா?
Chief Minister E. Palaniswamy announced a compensation of 7 lakh rupees and a government job to a member of Anita's family. 17-year-old Anita had secured 1,176 marks out of 1,200 in her Class 12 examination, 199.75 out of 200 for engineering and 196.75 for medicine. Her marks would have guaranteed her a seat in either stream without need. However, she had managed to score only 86% in the National Eligibility and Entrance Test. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
A terrorist was killed in an encounter with security forces in Kulgam in Jammu and Kashmir. The operation took place at early Saturday morning. The encounter comes on a day after terrorists killed a policeman on the Srinagar-Jammu National Highway. Meanwhile, unidentified protesters pelted stones at security personnel in Srinagar soon after Eid prayers ended.
A Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist involved in the killing of an army officer was shot dead in an early morning encounter in South Kashmir's Kulgam on Saturday. According to Army, Ishfaq Paddar, a local operative of the terror outfit LET, was wanted for civilian killings. An AK-47 was recovered from the site. The killing of Paddar comes hours after a policeman was killed and 3 others were injured when militants attacked one of their vehicles in Srinagar outskirts late on Friday evening. The LET had claimed responsibility for that attack.
हमारे पास एक स्पेसिफिक इनपुट था टेररिस्ट की मूवमेंट का. एक विलेज है यहाँ पास में कुलगाम का तांत्रिपुरा. उस इनपुट के बिना पर हमने जो है एक स्पेसिफिक ऑपरेशन लॉन्च किया था, जिसमें अर्ली मॉर्निंग एक एनकाउंटर हुआ था, जिसमें ये जो टेररिस्ट है इशफाक अहमद पड्डर, ये उस एनकाउंटर में न्यूट्रलाइज कर दिया गया.
Meanwhile, clashes broke out between groups of youths and security forces in Srinagar, Anantnag and Sopore after the culmination of congregational Eid prayers. Reportedly, a group of youths started pelting stones at security forces who were deployed near Eidgah to maintain law and order. In retaliation, security personnel used tear gas shells to disperse the protesters. No casualty has been reported. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
Meanwhile, President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi greeted people on Idul Aza. In fact, in his message, the President said, and I quote, "Let us rededicate ourselves to the spirit of trust, sacrifice and service and essence of this festival and share happiness with people who are in need. May this unique festival enrich our composite culture, strengthen our unity and harmony and inspire all of us to work towards the well-being of mankind." Unquote. And in his message, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu said that Idul Aza symbolizes the spirit of sacrifice and compassion in people's lives, and it inspires mankind to enshrine the values of truthfulness and compassion. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi tweeted and he said that he hoped that the spirit of harmony, brotherhood and togetherness will be furthered in society. And on a trip to Andhra Pradesh, President Ramnath Kovind today offered prayers at the Tirumala Tirupati Venkateshwara temple. The president was accompanied by his wife Savita, son Pasant Kumar and daughter Swati. This is the president's first visit to the shrine after being sworn in. He was accompanied by Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu and Governor ESL Narasimhan. The president was accorded a ceremonial traditional reception at the entrance of the temple complex amid chanting of Vedic hymns. The high priest then escorted him to the sanctum sanctorum of the over 2,000-year-old shrine. President Kovind had also visited the temple of goddess Padmavati at Tiruchur on Friday. On to other news. In Delhi, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal called on Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu today. The meeting at the Vice President's house was attended by Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, Manish Sisodia. The Vice President, who extended a warm welcome to Kejriwal, expressed his happiness at the meeting. Union Minister for External Affairs, Sushma Swaraj, too, called on the Vice President later today. And staying with the National Capital Region, garbage dumping in Ghazipur has been banned with immediate effect, with the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi also ordering that the landfill site be cleared within 2 years. A day after the portion of the waste dump collapsed, killing 2 people, Bajal said that took a meeting to take stock of the situation. He also directed that traffic be diverted on the road adjoining the landfill for proper vehicular movement. A statement from the LG's office said that the National Highways Authority of India has assured that the LG will begin the process of lifting, segregating and processing of the solid waste by November 2017 for its use in road construction. The process has been fast-tracked and the entire landfill site is expected to be cleared within 2 years. On Friday, a section of the pile in the landfill slumped over a car and 3 two-wheelers, pushing the vehicles off the road and into a canal. With that, a quick break here. Up next, international news.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
मीडिया मंथन में आज हम बात करेंगे कॉलेज और संस्थानों में पत्रकारिता की पढ़ाई के बारे में।
स्किल और टेक्नोलॉजी के इस दौड़ में कंटेंट कहीं पीछे रह गया है। भाषा पर जो महत्व मिलना चाहिए, भाषा को नहीं मिल रहा है।
फील्ड रिपोर्टिंग में सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी यह है कि पहले आप कानूनी पक्ष को जानिए कि सामाजिक चेतना और समाज में कुछ मापदंड हैं, उसका उल्लंघन, दोनों चीजों को ये होता है। इसके बारे में कुछ नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं बताया जाता है।
हिंदुस्तान में एक भी किताब ऐसी नहीं है जो फंडामेंटली रेडियो या टेलीविज़न की पत्रकारिता, मतलब उसको पढ़ के कोई विद्यार्थी समझ ले।
तो जब हम इंडस्ट्री बन गए हैं और दूसरी तरफ शिक्षण संस्थान है, दोनों के बीच कोई एक ऐसा पुल अगर बन जाए तो मेरा ख्याल है इससे ज्यादा समझदार पत्रकारिता कहीं नहीं हो सकती।
देखिए मीडिया मंथन शनिवार शाम 7:30 बजे सिर्फ राज्यसभा टीवी पर।
कर्क रेखा पृथ्वी के मानचित्र पर नजर आने वाली 5 मुख्य अक्षांश रेखाओं में से एक। भूमध्य रेखा के समानांतर है ये काल्पनिक लकीर जो नहीं देती दिखाई, सीधी पड़ती है यहाँ सूरज की किरण, इसीलिए नहीं बनती किसी की परछाई। 21 जून को सूरज होता है इस रेखा के ठीक ऊपर। तब होती है एक खास बात, उत्तरी गोलार्ध में ये होता है सबसे लंबा दिन और सबसे छोटी रात। भारत के 8 राज्यों में से गुजरती है ये रेखा। इसमें शामिल हैं मध्य प्रदेश, राजस्थान, गुजरात, पश्चिम बंगाल, छत्तीसगढ़, झारखंड और त्रिपुरा।
Welcome back. US President Donald Trump has nominated economic expert Kenneth Juster as the next US ambassador to India. The nomination was announced by the White House on Friday evening. It will have to be now approved by the Senate. Kenneth will replace Richard Verma if his nomination is confirmed. The position has been lying vacant since January 20th after Richard Verma resigned. Juster, 62-year-old, is the Deputy Assistant to the US President for International Economic Affairs. He played a key role in developing the Civilian Nuclear Cooperation Agreement between the US and India as Under-Secretary of Commerce. He still holds the position of Acting Counselor of the Department of State. The US and South Korea have agreed to revise a joint treaty capping the development of the South's ballistic missiles amid a standoff over North Korea's missile and nuclear tests. US President Donald Trump also gave conceptual approval to the purchase of billions of dollars of US military hardware by South Korea. The South wants to raise the missile cap to boost its defenses against Pyongyang. This after North Korea sharply raised regional tension this week with the launch of its Hwasong-12 intermediate-range ballistic missile that flew over Japan and landed in the Pacific. North Korea has also been working to develop a nuclear-tipped missile capable of hitting the US and has recently threatened to land missiles in Guam. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned that the tense standoff between North Korea and the US was on the verge of a large-scale conflict. He also said that it was a mistake to try to pressure Pyongyang over its nuclear missile program. Putin said this in an article published on the Kremlin's website ahead of the trip to the BRICS summit next week. He wrote that he favors negotiations with North Korea instead. Back to the US, and rescue work has intensified in Texas, with officials launching search operations and saving those stuck in the receding floodwaters in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey. The hurricane is one of the most destructive storms in American history that has claimed at least 47 lives till now. Nearly a week after Hurricane Harvey slammed into the Texas coast, desperate residents remain stranded without food and water in the wake of the unprecedented flooding. Authorities are searching for survivors and have made helicopter rescues from rooftops. Officials are assessing the storm's trail of destruction in Houston as the floodwaters slowly started to recede in southeastern Texas. In Crosby, about 48 kilometers northeast of Houston, alarming reports emerged about the danger posed by a chemical plant after the French company operating the facility said that explosions were possible. The Neches River in East Texas surged far beyond its banks into streets, houses and businesses in the city. The White House said that President Trump will donate $1 million of his personal money for flood relief operations in Texas and Louisiana.
I think we really have seen it. Nowhere is our unity more evident than in the actions of our volunteer and charitable organizations that rally to their neighbors' aid when disaster strikes. The people of Texas and Louisiana were hit very hard by a historic flood. In their response, they have taught us all a lesson, a very, very powerful lesson. There was no outbreak in crime. There was an outbreak of compassion only, real, beautiful, strong compassion. And they've really inspired us as a nation. To be honest, they've inspired the world because the world is watching.
Working with the Red Cross, we now have, across the state of Texas, 258 shelters that are now open. 107 of those shelters are shelters that are partnered with or in collaboration with the state in some form or fashion. And 151 are considered to be independent shelters, which would be the type of shelter that, let's say, a church would provide.
And here are more updates from across the world in Global Buzz. Gasoline prices soared across the United States on Saturday after Hurricane Harvey forced the closure of nearly 30% of the nation's refining capacity along the Gulf Coast. Average prices in Texas, the epicenter of the storm, rose more than 3% from Friday and are up 12% from a week ago. According to a report, the nation's largest refinery in Port Arthur is expected to be closed for at least 2 weeks. China has made full preparations for this year's 16th typhoon, Mawar, which is expected to take landfall in Guangdong province on Sunday. The National Meteorological Center issued an orange alert for Mawar, forecasting gales and heavy rains. Border guards also intensified their patrolling on the fishing harbour. Meanwhile, a 4.6 magnitude earthquake struck Guiyang city of northwest China on Saturday At a depth of 10 kilometers, the earthquake epicenter was at 36.28 degrees north latitude and 106.01 degrees east longitude. Neighboring cities of Yanchuan, Zhongwei and Wuzhong also felt the tremors. However, there was no report of any casualty. That's it on the news at 6. Thank you so much for joining us.